Jenny walked out of the Delhi courthouse, her face hidden behind dark glasses, reporters shouting questions she didn't answer. The papers were signed. The marriage that once defied borders was over. The headline hit within minutes: Sumit Singh and Jenny Slatten officially divorced. No one expected it to end this way, not after everything they had fought for. Hey everyone, this is Sabrina, and you're watching TLC Drama Live. Hit that subscribe button and tell me what you think about this one, because today's story isn't gossip, it's heartbreak on record. December 9, 2025, marked the final hearing. No cameras inside. No statements from either side, only silence. Jenny exited alone, clutching the verdict like a passport out of pain. Sumit stayed behind, standing still as if the court walls had closed in. After all those years convincing his family, this was the day he finally lost both his wife and their approval. Outside, the crowd murmured about betrayal, pressure, and exhaustion. Some said Jenny gave up. Others said she finally woke up. But no one could deny the look in her eyes, relief mixed with something close to guilt. People who followed their journey remember how many times Jenny packed her bags and came back again. This time, she didn't look back. You have to wonder, what pushed them past the point of no return? Sources near the couple say the decision wasn't sudden. The stress had been building for months. Court filings were clean, no scandal, no property fight. Yet behind that calm, something deeper had cracked. Jenny flew back to America the same night, no delay, no joint statement, nothing to hold onto except her freedom. Sumit's family, who once called the relationship a disgrace, reportedly gave their full support to the divorce. That silence from Sumit since then, not a post, not a word, has left fans uneasy. Because when one person moves on and the other disappears, there's always a story hidden between the lines. And that's where the real shock begins. It all started with one message. Jenny was in California, scrolling through Facebook, when she got a friend request from a young man in India who called himself Michael Jones. He said he was a model. He was actually Sumit Singh. The name was fake, but the attention felt real. What began as small talk turned into daily calls that lasted all night. For Jenny, it was like finding someone who finally saw her, not her age. When Sumit came clean about his real identity, Jenny was hurt but hooked. She forgave him, and that choice changed both their lives. Their online romance moved fast. Within months, she sold her furniture, packed her life into 2 suitcases, and flew across the world to meet the man she thought she'd marry. The age gap, over 30 years, instantly made them the talk of the show. Viewers called it brave, shocking, even delusional. Jenny's friends back home warned her. Sumit's family saw it as humiliation. But on screen, they looked happy. Jenny tried to learn Hindi, wore Indian clothes, and cooked local dishes. Sumit defended her every chance he got, saying love had no borders. Still, there were cracks. Jenny wanted marriage, Sumit kept delaying it. He said his parents needed time, but his hesitation grew every season. She cried on camera more than once, saying she felt like a guest, not a wife. Fans called her naive. Critics said she was being strung along. Then came the truth. Sumit wasn't single when they met. He had already been married to another woman in an arranged marriage his parents had chosen. That revelation almost ended everything. Jenny left India, heartbroken and embarrassed, only to return again when Sumit promised a clean start. Every great love story hides one turning point that decides everything. This one started the countdown to their end. Because while Jenny forgave the lies, trust never fully returned. And that one secret Sumit kept from Jenny was already ticking like a time bomb. Sumit's mother never pretended to approve. From the first time Jenny visited their home, her disapproval filled the room louder than any dialogue. Fans remember that kitchen scene, the tension, the silence, the tears. She told Sumit straight, a mother's blessing isn't optional in their culture. In India, marriage isn't only about 2 people. It's about families joining, reputations merging, traditions staying alive. Jenny stood her ground. She said love didn't need permission. She wanted respect, not validation. Her words hit hard, but her voice trembled. You could see she wasn't trying to win, she was trying to belong. Sumit's mother, on the other hand, saw herself as protecting her son. In her mind, Jenny was taking him away, not from home, but from his duty. She believed no parent sacrifices a lifetime of expectations for a love story that makes neighbors whisper. To her, it wasn't cruelty, it was order. The show turned their clashes into primetime emotion. Every meeting ended in tears. Jenny begging to be accepted, Sumit's mother crying that she couldn't let her son destroy his life. Sumit stood in between, breaking apart quietly while trying to please both. His father mostly stayed silent, but his silence felt heavier than any argument. Viewers were split. Some called the mother controlling, others said she was simply honest about what Indian society demands. Jenny had fans who praised her patience, saying she represented every outsider who tries to understand a culture that wasn't made to accept them. When love needs approval to survive, someone always has to surrender. Sumit's obedience kept him from losing his parents, but it cost him pieces of Jenny's trust. Every time he said, "They just need time," she heard, "You'll always come second." That gap widened quietly until it became their reality. What no one saw then was how that same obedience, the one that once made him look loyal, would soon destroy both relationships, the one with his wife and the one with his family. Behind the smiles and filtered selfies, life in Delhi wasn't easy for Jenny. She couldn't legally work in India, so every bill, every grocery run, every rent payment fell on Sumit. His job at the call center barely covered expenses. He once said on camera that money is tight, but the reality was worse. Friends who visited them off-screen described a quiet apartment, a fan that never stopped buzzing, and a couple slowly wearing each other out. Jenny had left everything behind in California, her job, her daughter, her support system. In India, she had no one but Sumit. When he went to work, she spent hours alone, scrolling through social media, watching fans debate whether their love was real. Some mocked her for staying, others called her brave. Every comment was a reminder that her relationship was public property now. Sumit's family didn't help. Even after the marriage, his mother refused to visit. She told Indian media she would never accept Jenny as a daughter-in-law. That statement went viral, and Jenny saw it. You could sense the pain when she later posted, "People think they know our life. They don't," still she stayed. She kept saying love was worth it. But over time, the spark turned into silence. Their on-screen chemistry faded into polite conversations and awkward glances. Off-camera, they fought about small things, the AC bill, his late-night calls, her homesickness. Jenny wanted to return to the US for a break. Sumit refused, afraid his family would accuse her of abandoning him. Fans noticed. Reddit threads, TikToks, and 90-day fan pages all speculated that something was off. Even Sumit's Instagram turned quiet. He stopped posting couple photos months before the news broke. Sometimes a relationship ends long before the papers say so. You can see it in the pauses, the distance, the smiles that don't reach the eyes. By the time December came, they were living more like polite roommates than partners. The divorce hearing shocked viewers, but insiders said it had been building for months. And yet, what happened inside that courtroom wasn't the real ending, it was the beginning of Jenny's transformation. The courtroom was cold, quiet, and too bright. Jenny sat at one end of the long wooden bench, her hands clasped tight around a folded tissue. Across from her, Sumit stared straight ahead, expression blank. His parents sat behind him, whispering in low tones that only made the silence heavier. The judge called their names. For a moment, it felt like another scene from the show, except this time, there were no cameras, no crew, no producers telling them to redo a line. Sumit answered first, his voice low. Jenny followed, barely above a whisper. The translator confirmed what the court already knew. The divorce was mutual. No accusations, no fight, no attempt to delay. The paperwork was clean, almost emotionless, but their faces said everything. When the judge stamped the file, Jenny flinched. The sound echoed like a door closing. She didn't look at Sumit. She didn't have to. You could feel the finality in the air. He stayed seated, eyes wet but unmoving. His mother turned away, her expression unreadable, while his father leaned back, exhaling as if a burden had been lifted. Jenny stood, adjusted her scarf, and walked out first. The hallway was filled with reporters, but she didn't stop. Her driver was waiting outside. Cameras clicked, flashes hit her face, and she kept walking. Not a word, not a wave, not even a glance back at the building where her 6-year love story ended. Inside, Sumit remained frozen. A friend later told local media that he didn't move for several minutes. He stared at the empty chair where Jenny had sat, his hands shaking. His parents tried to console him, but he didn't respond. That night, Jenny's name trended online before she even boarded her flight. Her ticket was one way to New York. No statements, no press interviews, no closure. But waiting for her back in America were a few familiar faces, and one reunion that would change the public's perception of everything that came next. Jenny landed in New York under a gray winter sky, her phone lighting up with alerts before she even cleared customs. Paparazzi had caught her arrival, bundled in a long coat and oversized sunglasses, smiling faintly but looking freer than fans had ever seen her. Within hours, photos surfaced of her at a Manhattan rooftop bar with Darcy and Stacey Silva, glasses raised, music blasting, laughter spilling over the edge of the frame. Big Ed was there too, grinning beside her in a viral clip that hit TMZ the same night. The media called it Jenny's comeback. Entertainment blogs labeled her the survivor of 90 Day Fiancé, the woman who turned heartbreak into empowerment. The photos flooded Instagram, Jenny with the Silvas, Jenny dancing, Jenny reclaiming her life. She even posted one story herself, writing only, "New Beginnings." Fans reposted it everywhere. Within hours, hashtags were trending, half cheering her freedom, half accusing her of celebrating too soon. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds. Supporters said she'd earned the right to be happy after years of struggle. Critics thought the timing was cruel. Sumit's heartbroken in India and she's partying in New York. One comment read, gaining thousands of likes. Jenny didn't respond. She let the images speak for her, confident, alive, unbothered. Those who'd watched her cry on the show were now seeing a woman laughing again, and it felt like the closing scene of a long emotional saga. But others noticed something missing. There was no mention of Sumit, no hint of reflection, no trace of the story she'd once defended as true love. Every time Jenny smiled for the camera, fans felt two emotions at once: relief that she was free and unease about what it cost. Behind the noise, Sumit's account stayed silent. No updates, no statements, no photos. Rumors started spreading fast that his silence wasn't about privacy anymore, it was about something much darker unfolding back in Delhi. While Jenny was smiling in New York, Delhi told a different story. Neighbors said Sumit barely left his house. The shutters stayed closed, the lights dim. He had once been the lively guy who joked with shopkeepers and posed with fans outside cafes. Now he walked quickly, avoided eye contact, and spoke to almost no one. Friends close to him described him as lost. He'd stopped posting on social media entirely. Even his old travel photos disappeared. When reporters tried to reach him, his family said he was resting and didn't want attention. That word, resting, became a polite cover for something everyone already suspected. The man who once fought his entire culture to marry for love was now fighting himself. Sumit's parents viewed the divorce as closure. To them, it restored family honor. But for him, it stripped away purpose. Every choice he made had revolved around that relationship. He defied his community, broken an arranged marriage, and lived as an outsider in his own home. Now, without Jenny, he was neither husband nor rebel, just a man caught between duty and emptiness. People who had worked with him on the show said he'd grown quieter, long before the divorce became public. During one interview months earlier, a crew member noticed him staring at his phone, scrolling through old photos of Jenny, whispering something under his breath. They said it wasn't anger they saw, it was exhaustion. Even his mother, once so firm, reportedly softened after the hearing. Relatives claimed she regretted how far things had gone but didn't know how to fix it. Family friends tried to convince Sumit to restart his career, maybe travel, maybe find peace elsewhere. He refused. Delhi had become both his comfort and his cage. When the noise fades, that's when the real pain starts to echo. Weeks passed without a single update. Fans flooded his old posts, asking if he was okay. No reply, no sighting, nothing. Then, out of nowhere, a voice appeared online, not his, not Jenny's, but someone who had been silent for years. And what they said changed everything. The online war started quietly but spread fast. Within days, timelines were split between Team Jenny and Team Sumit. Supporters of Jenny called her a symbol of strength, saying she finally broke free from emotional exhaustion. They used hashtags like #freedom after Fiancé and #Jenny deserve peace. Her defenders said no, one should apologize for choosing happiness after years of public judgment. Then came Team Sumit. His supporters accused the media of mocking a man in pain. Justice for Sumit and Stop making pain content began trending across Reddit and X. They argued that heartbreak hits differently when your entire family watches you fail on national TV. One viral comment read, "She gets applause, he gets silence, how is that fair?" The show's fan pages turned into digital battlegrounds. People dug up old clips, analyzing body language and replaying every argument. What started as entertainment turned into a cultural debate. Was Jenny's celebration empowerment or insensitivity? Was Sumit's silence maturity or manipulation? The lines blurred until nobody knew where empathy ended and gossip began. Influencers joined the chaos. Some praised Jenny's, reclaiming her narrative. Others called her tone-deaf for partying days after the verdict. Reaction videos racked up millions of views, each one dissecting private pain for public clicks. The same audience that once rooted for their wedding now dissected their trauma like a season finale. Reality TV doesn't end when the cameras stop, It just changes platforms. What we call commentary often becomes participation in someone's heartbreak. By the time tabloids started comparing their breakup to other TLC divorces, both sides had become symbols. Jenny, the Western ideal of independence. Sumit, the Eastern symbol of family pressure. Neither was fully villain or victim. Both were trapped in stories the internet refused to let end. Behind the noise, no one noticed what was happening off-screen. Hidden from the feeds, both were paying a price no hashtag could fix, one that would come to light soon, in a way no one saw coming. Their story wasn't just about two people. It was a mirror showing what happens when love meets culture head-on. Jenny and Sumit's marriage had started as a symbol of hope, but fame twisted it into a public experiment. The more the world watched, the more pressure built. Love became performance. Their private struggles became hashtags, and soon, neither could tell where real life ended and the show began. Jenny wanted control over her choices. Sumit wanted to honor his family. Both were right in their own ways, yet trapped in a system that punished them for wanting both love and approval. For Western fans, Jenny represented freedom, the idea that love should never need permission. For Indian viewers, Sumit symbolized loyalty, the belief that family ties are sacred. Their collapse wasn't just personal, it exposed the tug-of-war between modern independence and cultural obedience. The fame that once protected them eventually destroyed their peace. Every argument aired, every tear analyzed, every post turned into proof or betrayal. Even when they smiled on camera, they were performing for survival. Reality TV doesn't offer therapy, it offers storylines. And once those storylines dry up, people are left alone with wounds the audience has already moved on from. Fans often ask whether the show ruined them. Maybe it didn't. Maybe it only sped up what real life would have done slowly, forced them to face differences love couldn't fix. But the exposure magnified everything. The age gap, the culture gap, the power gap. What was once their strength became their burden. Fame gave them visibility, but it also took away the space to heal. Every move became content, every emotion became proof. Even now, their breakup keeps echoing in fan debates and cultural think pieces. But while the world kept arguing over who was right, Jenny made a move no one predicted. Yet, what Jenny did next in America would shock even her closest friends. Months after the divorce, Jenny's life began to take shape again. She moved into a small apartment in Las Vegas, close to her daughter and far from the noise of Delhi. Fans spotted her at local events, smiling more, dressing lighter, even signing autographs. She started posting cooking videos again, showing off the same Indian dishes she once made for Sumit. It felt like healing through habit, like reclaiming something that had once been tied to pain. Meanwhile, Sumit disappeared almost completely. His social accounts remained inactive. His friends said he'd left Delhi for a smaller town nearby, away from cameras and gossip. He'd taken up work at a travel agency quietly, living in a rented flat with few visitors. One person who met him said he looked thinner but calmer, like someone trying to rebuild from the inside out. Still, the sadness lingered. For him, every street, every scent, carried a reminder. TLC never confirmed whether either would return to the franchise. Producers called their story the most polarizing love arc in 90-day history. Viewers still flood comment sections, divided between empathy and criticism. Jenny's supporters see her as a woman who survived cultural suffocation. Sumit's defenders say he was crushed by duty long before love had a chance to save him. Some stories don't end cleanly. They echo, years later, in every couple who dares to believe love alone can bridge two worlds. The phrase, "a beautiful relationship ruined," still follows them online, reposted whenever another 90-day couple begins to crumble. It's become less of a tagline and more of a warning. Jenny rebuilt her peace. Sumit rebuilt his silence. And yet, both remain pieces of a bigger question, whether love can survive when the whole world is watching. As one story fades, another is already rising behind it. Because while Jenny found freedom and Sumit found solitude, another 90-day pair is standing at the same crossroads, and their next move might change everything.